Entrepreneur TV. And today we're bringing in somebody really passionate, the person whose story motivated, inspired, and brought that trailblazer out in the world. The people who look after him when he come on the stage and deliver his story. The person who I'm going to introduce you today, who's going to give you all the nitty-gritty, important and some golden stuff for you to understand what is your story, how the story actually benefit as a business owner, and the person who is no other but Armin Shafee. Armin is today is my guest. Hello, Armin.
How's it going, Rizwan? Thanks for having me.
Oh, I am fantastic. I'm actually feeling even better when I have you on the line. I know you're not here today. You're in Toronto. I'm in London. But thank you for accepting my invitation to come on this show. And I know, Armin, you have been, your stories out there. People can go to arminshafee.com and they can see you all about it. But how did you come up with that story? How do you come up with that idea to share your story, the personal story, out to the world?
It kind of, I guess it starts with the desire to want to share what you got with other people. I think it's pretty natural when you get something and you figure something out and you love it and it works for you. You by nature want to go give it to and share with people that you love, so family or friends. And I think it just started with the small desire of, if I've gone through something and I've learned from it, can I share the same thing with others? I think that's where it started from.
So tell us about it. I know that you had that car accident at age 18, all your reckless driving, and while you were doing fantastic in your professional and personal life, how do you come up with this? No, I need to go out there and change people's perspective.
Yeah, no problem. So I actually fell asleep behind the wheel. I wasn't drunk, high, or doing any type of driving that was crazy. I just fell asleep behind the wheel, but it was really late. And the time I spent out was not productive time. I was partying and celebrating with friends because I just hit a big milestone in my life, made the most money in a 2-week period. I was promoted to sales leader in my company. And that kind of made my ego really big, right? And so I did whatever any good person would do.
Yeah.
Do when you get successful is go and waste your time literally doing nothing and feeling good about it. And so I actually went and did that, and I ended my night at 3 a.m. And because it was so late, because I was going home so late, I fell asleep behind the wheel and I drove straight into a massive pole. And it was such a big utility pole. My car spun, it hit a fire hydrant, and landed on the edge of a hill going into a parking lot. And I remember getting out and I just thought, like, holy crap, this just happened. And in that moment, I told myself, I said, you know what? I was an optimist at heart. So I thought I'd go, this is going to be a story I'm going to share with people one day. I never knew it would turn into a transformation seminar, the Reborn Experience. I never thought it would be the story that wins speaking competitions. I never thought that, but I did think I'm going to do something good with this. And I saw myself doing it in front of people. So it's kind of where it started out. That's how I came to the idea of, okay, it wasn't off the bat, by the way. When it happened, I went through a few more years in my life of just trying to figure my life out. When I decided, because I saw other people sharing their stories impacting the world so much, when I decided I could do the same, I went back and I remembered, there was this one night I almost lost my life. And that's a story to share. So it's kind of started there, a spark of inspiration.
Wow, that's so powerful. So guys who is watching us, and they will be able to see there's a sign, there's a revelation comes in your life that will change you and the whole world around you, which Armin did. Armin, when you actually went through this experience, you actually figure out, as I was hearing you, on that moment that you need to share the story with other people. You need to make other people aware what they're missing out and how they can reborn. And that's one of that, you have a program for the reborn. So how did you, of course, you have to craft it, you have to make it presentable, you have to make sure that people will understand clearly. So walk us through for the benefit of the business owner who are watching us, to understand how that story is important, but how do you really present, that's also important too.
When you're creating your story, you're telling your story, you don't want to be focused on you. Like I wasn't worried about what are people going to think about me when I tell the story. I was focused on what is it going to do for the person when they hear the story.
Yeah.
So every time we suffer in life, it's literally because we're thinking about ourselves, not of other people. So when you share a story, there's a component in that sentence that's more important than the story, which is share.
Correct.
Right? You could have a story, but no one can know it. You can tell a story to yourself, but like no one hears it. Sharing the story requires someone to be listening on the receiving end.
Yeah.
You should think about that person because you're sharing it for the reason of them hearing it, not for the story to be good or politically correct or to make sure they think better of you. If you're afraid to share your story, first of all, you'll always be trapped in your own mind because that's your past. That's who you were. That's what's happened. You got to accept it. Sharing stories make you accept things as well. And it grows your business very fast because your prospects, your clients, your leads, they need to relate to you. If they don't relate to you, how are they going to buy anything from you?
Absolutely.
The trust comes from rapport, and rapport comes from feeling related to the person, feeling like, oh, I can relate to you and to what you're saying. So if you're not willing to share a story, I mean, it's costing you more than just your confidence, but it's also costing you money. Because my story is what got me exposure and brand out there at first. When I was just starting out and I wanted to help people, I didn't know, no one knew who I was. But my story is how they got to know me.
Wow. And Armin, this is exactly this show is all about. Have the story out there, because story once out there, they will be able to connect. They will be able to understand the human perspective from you, and that connection will create the trust, and eventually business come along. So I totally agree with that. So, but also, Sharmeen, there is the way to present that too.
When you're presenting it, a mentor of mine told me, when you tell stories, the secret to storytelling is not what you say, it's what you don't say. And there's when you tell stories, a lot of people, they spend too much time saying all the details that don't matter.
Correct.
And they focus on all the little things that doesn't matter at all. So what I teach my speakers at Elite Speakers Academy is when I say you're crafting your story, right? The number one question you should be asking yourself is, if I were to say this, or if I were to take this part of the story out, will it take away from the point of the story? And if the answer is yes, then keep it. If it's no, take it out. Because if it's not relevant to the point of the story, then it shouldn't be there, right? And that's what creates fluff or clutter. There are 4 major emotions that you want in a story that create the elements of a story. And so in my courses, I teach those emotions. And the best stories bring the emotion out of your audience, bring the emotion out of your clients.
Correct.
If you can tell a story that makes an audience or someone's listening, makes them feel something, especially one of the 4 major ones, then your story is unforgettable. They'll never, ever forget. 2 years ago, I told my story about my crash. And since then, I still have people that know my story. Still have people that talk about my story. And it's because the elements of the emotions and were in there. So it made them feel something, emotionalized the person listening. And on top of that, it also helped by taking all the stuff that wasn't important out of the story. I hope that answers your question.
Wow, you actually did fantastic. I mean, folks, if you're listening to us, you actually understand the person behind the Elite Speaker Academy, the person behind whose a reborn experience is giving you the great steps in order to find and create a story. Armin, the next question I really wanted to ask you, and you work with a number of business owners and entrepreneurs, the people who start in the business or people who are in the business and taking to the next level. Are people afraid of sharing their stories?
Half the time, yes. The people I find are ready to share their stories, so they come to me to help them find them and create it and present them. But the only ones I ever run across I don't want to share the story, it's because they're not over it yet. They're not over the story yet. And I'm very honest to my speakers when I train them. I tell them off the bat, I say, listen, if you're not willing to tell the story yet because there's no breakthrough in the story, then that story hasn't ended yet. You're still in it. You still have not finished that story because you didn't get the lesson out of it yourself. So there's no point in telling it to the people, because people listening to you will say, then what's the point of what happened to you? If you can't find a positive learning lesson from what happened to you, it's not a story to tell yet.
I think God, universes keep giving us signs that here's your story, here's your new beginning, here's your reborn coming on. But sometimes we're just so numb and got into that same routine, we just ignore them. What suggestion you can give a person who is trying to get into the business, who is really passionate about it, or the person who is doing the business but not really feeling about it? How do you discover that self in order to find it? Because to me, as a business owner, the person has to have the passion behind it, right? The passion comes from a story.
I think it starts with questions. You kind of have to ask yourself, what are the biggest challenges I went through in my life? What were the biggest lessons I learned in my life? What were the turning points in my life? Maybe the events that happened. If you could ask yourself these questions and sit down and start writing them down, because I did the same thing when I was trying to find my stories. And it's not just about one story. No human being is made up of one story. In fact, if that's the case, then they haven't lived a lot. Every human should have several stories that made them who they are. But there are always signature stories, like the biggest one, for example.
Yeah.
But when I was saying that, I had to make a list of all these questions and I answered them, and it gave me an idea of my past. Like, you got to really do a past analysis. Right? You have to sit down and analyze everything that you've gone through and think, okay, so these things happened. Which ones helped me become who I am today, and which ones can actually help the people that are listening get something out of it if they were to hear it?
What are the things that you find that the people were able to, when they were able to craft, when they were able to share that, what are the key components of a story of a business owner is important?
I'll actually backtrack. I think that's probably a huge problem with how people think today. Emotions don't make you weak. They make you live. Emotions don't make you vulnerable. They make you real. If you don't have emotion, you're a robot. Who the hell would ever buy from you? Who would ever work with you? No one can relate to you if you don't have emotion. In fact, the only emotion is the actual universal bridge between every one of us. I may not know what you've gone through, Rizwan, and you may have not known what I've gone through. But if you tell me you felt lonely at one point in your life, I know exactly what that feels like. It doesn't matter if I've gone through the same events. You could have been lonely because, you lost your dog. I could have been lonely because I lost a friend. But we both experienced the emotion of loneliness. So that emotion is the bridge between me and you. Then I can sympathize and empathize with you. If you're in business and you're not willing to share emotion or create emotion and share stories, you shouldn't be in business, because your entire business is literally dependent on your ability to make sales. And sales come from you connecting with the person you're selling.
We have great words of wisdom from Armin Shafee today. I wanted to take a short commercial break, and I can't wait to come back to share some more experience from Armin. Stay tuned. We'll be right back to Entrepreneur TV. Welcome back. Entrepreneur TV, powered by Entrepreneur Nation and sponsored by Sandler Training in London. And today, our guest is Armin Shafee. I want to ask you, Armin, and you have met a number of people, you have changed people, you have able to help to reborn, in Elite Speaker Academy, you were able to help people craft and able to deliver their stories. I want you to share a story of the person or the business who actually got impacted after they were able to present effectively the story, what changes they have made. I'm sure you know a lot of stories, but let's share one.
I have one of my students that just graduated. Her name's Jessica, and she just went on stage in front of 200 people and shared her story. And her story was that she was wrongfully done to by a man. Okay, twice in her past.
Okay.
And she took that man to a course where he admitted it live, and then he got her to stand up, and they kind of forgave each other on the spot in front of 200 people, and it created like a moment where no one will ever forget. And so she called me this morning. She's like, ever since I shared my story on stage, and this was maybe last night or 2 nights ago, she said, I've had hundreds of people reach out to me. And she's like, I haven't even got back to everyone yet, but I've had hundreds of people reach out to me telling me their stories. Because why? Because when you share a story, you connect to another person in their story. And she said, I don't know what to do with them. And she's saying, you know, and she just launched her business as a speaker because she came out of my course. Yeah. So she said, what do I do with this? I said, well, listen, you have the most expensive currency in the world, which is attention. Yeah. People are giving you attention right now. So I said, why don't you create something where you can help all the people that are connecting with you? Her entire life is completely transformed because she literally has hundreds of people now that come and talk to her just from sharing her story on a stage for the first time ever. She had hundreds of people reaching out to her right now. And that's going to turn into tens and tens of thousands of dollars in sales because she's going to create something to help them solve the problem that they have. And it's created her entire brand now. Like, people know who she is. So if that doesn't show you by just sharing your story how much it can impact your life and your business, I don't know what will. Hundreds and hundreds of people, all those people are leads to me. They're all prospects of something she can help them with if they were willing to put in the money and buy it. Does that make sense?
Wow. See, guys, you're listening to Armin, who actually transforming people, who actually witnesses people when they were able to find a story, craft it, and present effectively how it changed from the business perspective, how it actually multiply the revenue, doing what you love, being passionate about who you are, and being vulnerable, being human, be sharing with this. This is very powerful. I thank you very much for sharing, for solidifying that fact that it is important. Being human, be able to share with that, it's very important. Awesome.
Everything in nature, in life, anything that was created beyond what man can create has accuracy, has a definiteness to it. Mm-hmm. The tree gets up and knows exactly what it has to do. The sun knows exactly what it has to do. There's a definiteness to the purpose of their existence, right? Yeah. Nothing in this world has zero purpose. Everything has a purpose. The unfortunate and fortunate thing is humans are the only creatures that have been given the freedom to choose. Yeah. But because they were not taught how to choose, they suffer from a lack of definiteness in their life. Nothing is definite. They don't. Their favorite response to every question is, "I don't know." You ask them how much they want to make. I don't know. Some of this, maybe a little bit, a lot of money. What is a lot of money? Yeah. I want this kind of customer. That's kind of like this. Everything suffers because you lack definiteness. The second word is major. Major is size. I didn't say a definite minor purpose. I said major. Why? Because people are afraid to commit to things that are big. And so a huge poison in the thinking process of humans that have been taught to us from school systems and media is to think small, just to not get disappointed. I think it's incredibly criminal that we teach our kids this stuff, that we teach other people this stuff. The only thing you should ever think is big. That's your absolute birthright. If you think small, it's because of fear. You're not in your natural habitat. You're also not safe or comfortable. You're just comfortably miserable. Mm-hmm. So it's the size of thinking as well. So they lack definiteness, most people, in businesses for sure, but just people in life. And second is major. They don't have anything major. They major in minor things, right? Like paying bills or figuring out how to get the kids in a better school now. That's a very minor thing compared to your entire life. And so you you waste a lot of time in life. Why? Because there's nothing major to look forward to. And the last thing is purpose. And purpose has everything to do with a meaning or an outcome, right? So you don't even know what you want at the end of everything. Yeah. So if you want to know if someone's going to die earlier in their mind or physically, ask them the question, be like, what's your vision for life? And if they don't give you a very clear answer of where they're going, that person will die earlier than they should have, or they would die mentally before their body decays underground. And that person has nothing to offer the world. Until they understand or decide on a definite major purpose in their life, they will never actually amount to anything to themselves. Their potential will always succeed what their actual reality is. They'll never, ever, ever have the things that they can have in life, let alone surviving. They'll never strive to anything bigger than what they know. And then the opposite is very true. Any great person I get to sit and mastermind with, or anyone you can study, have definiteness in every action and thought. they have a major goal, and they have a purpose to why they're doing it all. And so that's, yes, I agree with you. I think not knowing what people want or what their story is, or not knowing in general, is probably the silent killer of their success.
Wow. Folks, if you are listening to this, he actually, Armin, shared just 3 words: definite, purpose, and the major. Right, Armin? The 3 words. If you have a definite major purpose, then you're going to be able to successful. I mean, regardless of your story in business, personal or professional. Awesome. I think I loved it. I'm actually going to highlight this one for you. This is fantastic. Armin, I know you have a set plans for your legacy to be there. How do you want to be remembered for the life and the world yet to come?
I think I already, to some degree, have established that word, but it would have to be real.
Real.
Yeah. And that encompasses everything. People will remember me as real, as did what I said, I lived what I taught, and I showed up the way I would expect others to show up. I worked harder than anyone else, and these are all real, which is real deal, right? Mm-hmm. That would be, as of right now, that's my answer.
Awesome. We are going toward the end of it, and I am here with Armin Shafee. Armin, I want you to leave some words of inspiration for our audience to know from a person who actually reborn himself, able to help other people reborn, and able to help people to take their story and bring it out and present it effectively. Word of wisdom from you.
You want to get your head out of the clouds. Stop chasing shiny objects, and stop trying to pretend like you deserve what you want without paying the price for it. You're wasting lots and lots of time. Time will stop being wasted the moment you decide to just commit to paying the price. You have to find out what you want in your life. And if you don't know, just start with the most obvious thing. You probably want more money, or you probably want more freedom. So go find something that will get you those 2 things, and then pay the price, commit to it. Have a commitment to a better self. Have a commitment to a better future. If you're not committed to something bigger to move forward to, you will by default fall for the small things in life. If you don't have a plan for your next 5 years, you'll fall for your friend's plan for the next 5 years, and they got nothing planned. So in one sense, take your life seriously. You only have one of them. Take your life seriously.
Wow, fantastic. I wouldn't have expected less than you be real and be find your true purpose. Armin, fantastic. I really appreciate your time and coming into this show, sharing your story, helping other people to understand what is the purpose, how to bring that story out, and this is making difference in people's business and personal lives. Armin Shafee, the person behind the Reborn Experience, the person behind the Elite Speaker Academy, and the person who is real. Look out for Armin Shafee, and you will find tons of resources about him and what he's doing to making change in people's lives. Armin, thank you so much for being on the show, and I really appreciate your time, and I believe everybody will be able to love watching you, understanding you, and delivering your message was so much fun.
Thanks for having me.
And that was the show. Armin Shafee delivered you some very tangible things that you will be able to employ in order to find your story, craft one, and able to present one. Being vulnerable, being emotional is the way to being human. And when you are human, you're going to create that trust, that connection that will turn into business. As during the interview, Armin shared some very powerful stories with you. Your story. Do you have a story? Let's bring that story to that limelight, that sharing with the world, and that open up the horizon to new beginning. Keep watching Entrepreneur TV, powered by Entrepreneur Nation and sponsored by Sandler Training in London. Have you ever wondered you want to be on the red carpet? Have you ever wondered why other people are taking all the advantages of media, coverage, and TV? Have you ever had that passion and desire to build your business? Have you ever been considered TV as a media outlet to showcase your personality, your story, your passion behind your business, your brand? Well, you are in luck. Entrepreneur TV, powered by Entrepreneur Nations, is right here headquartered in London, Ontario, and can reach out to thousands of people around the Canada and to the world. And why it is so important to have your brand being representative to the mass media, because your skill set, your power has been contained into a smaller region. We want to take you to the next level. You are holding your brand, your skill set, your passion from the people all around the world to see, aspire, and able to benefit from them. If you are a true entrepreneur, if you have desire to, in order with positive energy of helping people, if you are that person who is eliminating a pain in someone's life or adding a pleasure in someone else's life, I need you to be on this show. I want you to be in this show because you are the most desirable commodity in our business world. We need the entrepreneur people who are deeply connected with their passion, and with that passion we want them to showcase you, and so other people can see, benefit, and actually can aspiration from your line. Entrepreneur TV, powered by Entrepreneur Nation, is ready to take your career, your path, your business, your venture, your project, your planning to a whole different level. Are you ready? Come talk to me. My name is Rizwan, Rashid, 10 TV host, or talk to Lucy Jeffrey from the Entrepreneur Nation, because we are really thrilled. We are passionate. We have planned. We have all the equipment ready for you. We want you to be on this show. Entrepreneur TV, coming live on the cable network, IPTV, and social media. I know you've been seeing us all around. You are ready to be in there too. So don't wait, because time is running out and I want you to be there. Entrepreneur TV.